Hello and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast, episode number 127. Best place to be for your Thursday evening.
Yes.
How are you doing, Darren?
Well, I love the new graphic with us like this. It's great, but kind of looks a little bit like Beavis and Butthead. You know,
I can see that.
Which is apropos. You think about it. Listen, I'm doing great. I'm feeling healthy. Now, it's been a tough sports week, that's for sure. And
that's going to be the direction we go.
It's been really, really bad. And I'm real. I like that better. I like that. I like that. Go back to that for a second.
There we go.
So let me get this straight. The snowman is eating watermelon.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Totally
I couldn't tell at first if it was pizza or watermelon.
Yeah, apparently it's the watermelon, but that worked. But I mean, so those of you that joined us on Sunday, we were going to go the NFL route. We were going to kind of actually talk about the Tennessee Titans and kind of what's gone wrong with their season. But the New York Mets decided we're going to change the plans for this podcast because they are the talk of the town. And so we got to talk about what in the world just happened this week. We're still getting over the Brandon Nimmo situation, but now it's gotten a lot worse. So before we talk into that and dive into all that stuff, you got to share a word from our sponsors over at Nashville Tax Solutions.
Hey, listen, what's worse than being a Met fan and having to deal with a GM just trashing the team? Well, I'll tell you, dealing with tax issues. And so maybe if you're behind on filings or you got hit with a lien, let me tell you about the good people at Nashville Tax Solutions. These folks, they know their stuff and they actually care about you and getting it fixed. I've heard from people right there in Fort Pierce and Palm Bay who said Chris Bennett and his team turned a financial nightmare into peace of mind. That's the kind of help you want when you're in a situation like that. So if tax stress is keeping you up, especially around the holidays, you don't want that. Call 855-627-4829, visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com, or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, real people, real relief.
Real relief. We could use some real relief because we got fake relief here on this. Devin Williams doesn't even seem like he wants to be on the team. Feel like he's going to be the next. What was that player we got that tossed his glove into the crowd? Feels like that's the route we're going.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. But
what did Devin Williams say? What did he say?
It just seemed like, I don't have the exact clarity. It just seemed like there were other options on the table, and like it just seemed like this wasn't his first. Kind of reading between the lines, just didn't feel like it was his first choice. So I don't know if it was anything he said per se. It was more just the vibe. Like there was other teams that were on his radar. And
I learned long ago that when a vibe is real, it doesn't matter what they say. Read the vibe, feel the energy.
And I don't know. Did we have to get Williams before Diaz? That there are other issues which I think led to Diaz leaving and whatnot. We'll get to that, but I don't necessarily think that we needed to go that route. I think they went at it backwards. Let's talk about Diaz first, because that obviously is the one that took place first. Now, this is unfortunate. I want to be receptive to the idea. I want to, I don't want to hate on the Dodger fans and the fan base and whatnot, but they did something so deceitful, so disgusting that I can't even give them the time of day. Did you hear about this? It was on the New York Post.
No.
Awful.
Oh, that's not good.
And you believe that? That is not good.
No. I thought you were going to tell me that they traded and got him.
Oh, no, they didn't get him. But it says, please look after this bear. So they just literally kicked him to the curb.
I feel so bad.
Bad.
See, boo Dodgers. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a guy. Don't, please. He looks so sad. Don't do that.
So sad. But Edwin Diaz is the Dodger talk of the town a couple of days ago for a day, and then got worse the next day. But starting there, your gut initial reaction, if you could take yourself going back in time when you first saw that headline, whether it was, where did you see it first? Was it a text, social media? How did you
I was at work, and I just was scrolling real quick to see if any trades were made, and bam, it just said Edwin Diaz signs with the Dodgers, and I was sick to my stomach. And it's tough to say, okay, what's my initial impression, and then what do I think now? Because I see some of these chuckleheads on morning radio or some of these other places, and they're like, well, the Dodgers told him take it or leave it right now, and you can't go back to the Mets. That's nonsense. Don't let anybody tell you that. Anybody tells you that,
big nonsense. Yep.
It's big nonsense, because it does not work that way. If the Mets would have made they said there was wiggle room. If there was wiggle room, you're embarrassing yourself. Give them an offer they can't refuse, and they stay. Instead, he wants to get cute. They get the other reliever, and no, I would have left too. I would have left too.
And it was a difference, right, of $3 million. Like, I think that's all that was left on the table. Yeah. Yep.
Horrible.
So terrible, terrible, terrible. And it, one thing, like, I don't necessarily, a lot of the heat is going on David Stearns and the Mets office and stuff, and rightfully so. And I'm not hating on Edwin Diaz, but at the same time, like, I don't know if that's the bitter Met fan of me or not, but like, there's something to honor your contract, but there was an opt-out clause. I get that.
Yep.
Supposed to be here another 2 years. But some stuff went down, whether it was that Devin Williams got signed first and without being consulted, whether it was a Nimmo situation, just seemed like the dominoes were falling there. But I'm not saying I'm going to be booing Edwin Diaz, but I'm not going to be hating on that Met fan that decides that because they have to get it out somehow. And if that's the route they decide to go, I'm not going to hate on it. I'm not going to probably do the same thing, but I can see it. I mean, it's the Dodgers. They're going to the Dodgers, the team that.
But see, here's the thing: the Dodgers do everything right. They do everything right. They understand that there's a market in Japan, and they get some of the great and elite Japanese athletes, and they open up and they're making exponential money, and they have very creative people, and they have that money back-ended, and they just go out and they say, okay, what do we need? What was the Achilles heel on the Dodgers this year? Relief pitching. Then they go and get the best in the business, the best at least in the National League. They go out and they get it, and they figure out what they want, and they go out and they get it. And this is what they do. And look, I respect people who do it right. And unfortunately, as much as I dislike the Dodgers, but I respect the heck out of them because they're good back-to-back champions. Well, what are we just going to spend all this money? Yeah, you're going to spend all this money. And when you do it right, look what you get: back-to-back championships.
Back-to-back, yep. And, talk about set themselves up. And, realistically, they're probably not done. I'd be very surprised if it feels like they can't possibly do anything more. But realistically, you know that something else is going to happen with them.
Yeah, they need a left fielder.
Yeah, they do. Yep, they're not going to be going with Conforto and yeah. So now I remember when I first heard about this news, I remember, just kind of stopping in my tracks, just like, wait a minute, this, because you got to double check your sources. You can't, but then if it is a certain site, you're like, oh no, that means it's real. Like, but there are a lot of sites out there that are complete fabrication and all that kind of stuff. So instantly checked everywhere, checked only reliable sources, saw that it was confirmed, and was just scratching my head. And it's like, you could easily say, okay, he took the easy way out. He wants the ring and just whatever. But it's putting yourself in the shoes too. It's like hard to pass that up, of course, especially if you're not happy where you're at. And it's a shame because the Timmy Trumpet was the hit of the parade last week. I was like digging that. And it's like, it's not going to hit the same. Like it's going to hit great for Dodger fans, but it's going to be hard to watch a Mets at Dodgers game. I'll tell you that. And it would be nice if the Mets could break up a Diaz and blown save, but the Mets don't score in the ninth inning, so the likelihood of that happening.
They don't. And if they're behind if they're behind late in the game, they can't win the game anyway.
Right. Yep. That's the problem. So,
Yep.
That it was just now. For those that don't know, like with the Dodgers situation, is Diaz going to be the new closer? Are they going to move their existing closer to a setup man? Like, what's going on with that situation?
Well, from what I hear, Diaz is the new closer.
And then, so they're basically, moving. Because there's that guy, I forget his name, from Japan, I think, that they were like courting. He's like, oh no, I'm like, I forget his name, but he's like now determined to go somewhere else. He's like, I don't want to just be another Japanese player on the Dodgers. I want to go and to another team and stick it to them or whatever. I applaud that a little bit.
Sure.
Some people want to be another great player on a great team, and some want to be that guy on a different team. And either way, but there is some talent that is coming over. I don't think either of the two big ones signed from Japan this season that are entertaining offers, but I don't think either one is officially signed with a team just yet.
No, they haven't, not yet.
No. Now you're sporting the Baltimore Orioles jersey, so, but what do you call it? So again, fast forward one day later, it almost felt like like I know they're having their meetings and stuff, but it almost felt like, oh, I'm going to really stick it to them. I'm going to sign today, because I really thought he was not going to sign until March, because I didn't think any team was going to give him that 5th year. But talk about how yesterday transpired. I know you sent me the message and everything, but how did you find out about that, and then why do you think that came about to Baltimore?
I think he came about because, Baltimore was always in the mix, right? Baltimore is in the toughest division in baseball. They're all good. Boston is a good team. Yankees, Toronto, and if they're going to compete, now remember, they were in first place last year. I mean, the year prior. Last year, they just had a terrible year. They needed a first baseman. That bad. I've been to that ballpark. It's a wonderful ballpark, but a bandbox. He is going to destroy home runs there. And, I don't want to get ahead of what we're talking about, but they want to give him 5 years is ridiculous. Excuse my language, but it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? You do realize in the National League you have the DH now. So let's say he can't really play first base that much anymore at 36. He could be your DH.
Exactly.
I just don't get it. We wouldn't go there. They're not enough plans. Why not? Why not? So he goes to Baltimore. He will be the guy. Let me ask you this. What's the over and under on Juan Soto getting intentionally walked right now? $1 million?
$1 million, yes, because I'm looking at this, because, okay, are they going to move Lindor down? Like, he's made it clear he wants to be the leadoff guy. They're going to try to keep him happy. So if Soto stays at 2, are you really going to have a 3-4 of what, Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez? Like, it feels like that's the route like that they're going. Vientos 5. What? Then you're gonna put McNeil 6, and you're gonna put Mauricio 7 and Acuna 8. Like, what is just?
It's a weak team.
Yeah,
it's a weak team. And listen, we were fooling ourselves not just because of the results, but you think about it. I mean, Alvarez, you wanted him to have a good year, but he's always injured. He gets into slumps, and for a while there, his backup was playing better than he was. And, and when you hear, Brett Beatty could play most of the games now at third base. Well, I could play at third base every game. Not good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's okay. He's okay as a slap. He's an occasional power. But who's the thumper?
And if they think the guy's out there, because Schwarber did re-sign with the Phillies, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Day before Alonso got traded. That's why the Baltimore Orioles pivoted so aggressively to Alonso.
And then it almost felt like, even though it has not, it seemed like an unrelated move, but today's big move was the Atlanta Braves signing Robert Suarez from
Yep.
San Diego.
Diego.
Another stick it to the another another piece that the Mets could have went after. To try to start getting things back on track. I think it was a 3-year, $45 million deal. So,
don't worry, we got Frankie Montas, whatever his name is.
And I see because they're interested in 2 Brewer pitchers. I'm like, didn't we go down this route last year? Like, no offense, I mean, Brewers had a great squad and everything like that, but
that's where small market Stearns comes from.
Yeah,
that was his team.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just with Alonso, so. With the Mets, I think they're going to have to move Soto down the lineup. But again, like you said, who's going to protect him? It seems I really am scared that I use the word scared because I am scared. I feel like we're going to go to opening day with some sort of platoon with Jeff McNeil and Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Like and if that's part of this master plan, then to talk about desperation. But. So I feel like that's I don't know.
So you don't think Goldschmidt will be back with the Yankees?
No, I think I would not be surprised if the Mets get that desperate and they go that route. Maybe not as an everyday, but because we hear Tucker, we hear Bellinger. Neither one's jumping off the page at me as a perfect fit.
No, it's terrible.
The guy that I know he's not a big name, but you have to start at this point. You have to basically rebuild your team. And I'm sorry. I know that Lindor wants to bat leadoff, but if you lost those 2 guys, it's got to be Lindor 2 and Soto 3, and they're gonna have to find someone for 4. But the one guy I go after, he's a name that's probably off the radar, and I don't see it happening because I think he's still on a team. They would literally have to trade for him. But you want to talk about I think it needs to start before they even get their cleanup hitter. They need that top of the order guy, and he can't be Lindor because again he's got to move down. They have to have that center fielder. I would love to see a move for Stephen Kwan from the Cleveland Guardians. I think that would be a start. He's not a big name or whatever, but the guy gets on base all the time, and that's at least a start telling me, okay, we're moving in a direction that's right. I don't want to see the aging outfielder because then it's okay, then what do we get rid of Nimmo for? So. It's, we're waiting. Devin Williams happened, but we're waiting. The shoe needs some. But and then today of all days, they decided we're going to start releasing spring training tickets. Who in their right mind right now is rushing to the box office to buy spring training tickets? We're still moping around after those last 2 days. Yeah, terrible idea.
And I got it so. And I got to, again, it's just a sport. We're blessed about so many things, but these people let's just see what David Stern does. Listen, if David Stern goes out there right now and finds 2 or 3 players who play above their head, he'll be lucky to get the 200 RBIs that he lost between trading Nemo and Alonso. The home runs. So even if you get all these guys that we mentioned, the Goldschmidts and some of the Corey Bellingers and on and on and on, they could play above their heads, and we'll be lucky to get back what we lost. I mean, you want to improve this team, starting pitching, middle relief, and then you got some places like center field, left field that you got to fill. You got some places, a little bit of the bench. I mean, oh my gosh. And instead you go and you get rid of the best reliever in the National League and to get your team better?
Yes, this is all part of the scheming and
when people buy that stuff, I'm like, are you that dense?
Right. Soup Pete says, I'm glad I'm not a Mets fan. I'm glad
you're right, buddy. You're right.
Now, just sidebar real quick. We have your favorite time of the year as a sports fan. Some of us look towards, if you're in a NASCAR, you look forward to the start of the series there in February. You might, if you're a football guy, of course, like that. But I know you're a big NBA Cup guy. So are you excited for the semifinals kicking off this Saturday or what?
Oh, I tell you, listen. I mean, Soup and I were talking about this before the podcast, before the live show. There is the World Series, there is the Super Bowl, but nothing holds a man's or a person's attention rather than the NBA Abu Dhabi Cup.
Yes,
Where,
absolutely.
I mean, you have to pay these players more money to do the job in a regular season to get that interest. But don't worry.
And do the games don't count for their record, right?
Oh, it counts for the record.
Oh, it does. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but it's just like, what are you doing? Who can, with the load management and the just terrible, and I enjoy basketball, but is it terrible? I know you're a big fan of the NBA Abu Dhabi NBA Cup. And how about this? The NBA commissioner said that the winning team has to put up the banner for winning. Do you believe that? I wouldn't blow my nose with that banner.
I did not know this, but
yeah.
Well,
the Lakers have that Fakaka banner up. It's terrible.
Terrible. It means so much. Sidebar, football fans, it is 4 minutes, 57 seconds left in the second quarter. We are all tied up. Falcons 7, Bucks 7. I'm assuming
both of them wearing their old uniforms. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm assuming Chris is at the game this evening. So if you're watching or you see this later, let us know. But talk about a must win. This is a must win for Tampa Bay. The Carolina Panthers are breathing down their neck. And I'll tell you something. It's funny how things shape up. But right now the Panthers are sitting there in the 9th seed, out of the playoffs. But they've beaten the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, and they've beaten the Los Angeles Rams. And so those are literally the 1 and 2 seeds right now. So they have to get the job done. They have to beat New Orleans on Sunday. They got to beat Tampa Bay twice coming up. They still have.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. And yes, Eileen, you're right about the creamsicle uniforms. Those are the best.
Yeah.
But how do you feel? You going to split with Tampa? You going to sweep Tampa? What's going to happen?
I think right now they just have to split just because they're literally only a half a game back. But both Tampa Bay and the Panthers have lost to the Saints, and the Saints have like 3 wins on the season. So they got to get the job done. Tampa has to win tonight. Carolina has to beat the Saints before we even get to next week. So I wouldn't call the Tampa Carolina thing a split just yet. But if something shady happens where the Bucks win and the Panthers lose or vice versa, then I would say, yes, they got to take both of them. But it looks like because I think they lost because didn't they lose to New Orleans at home last week, or was it in New Orleans? I feel like it was.
It was in. I think it was.
Yeah, it was in Tampa. Yeah.
Was it Tampa? Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Because Tampa had 3 home games in a row. They had a stretch. They had Cardinals, they had Saints, and Falcons. So they had it set up. They did pull out the win against the Cardinals, but that hard 24-20 loss to the Saints, and now tied at halftime with the Falcons. So, but they end the season, the Tampa Bay Bucks, with Panthers, Dolphins, and Panthers. So
winnable. You know, I'm a big Baker Mayfield person, but yet my brother is a big Carolina Panther fan, and I am a Bryce Young fan. So I'm very torn. I really am. I just want my team, the Jets, to keep losing because I want that quarterback. I want that quarterback out of Indiana, Mendoza. And if I can't get him, I want Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame running back.
Yes. Now, can you? I know the blood pressure is already up from the Mets stuff, but will you share? You mentioned Notre Dame. Will you share just a little bit about that situation? Because glasses just came off.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, glasses came off. All right.
But I understand what's going on there, but not everybody understands.
All right. So here's the thing. I will sound like a Notre Dame homer, but I'm right. So here's the thing. I'm a big believer in honesty. The Miami Hurricanes beat Notre Dame the first game of the season. Beat them by 3 points, but they beat them. Yeah, all right. But they did beat them. There's no way, in my opinion, now that they would beat them. But that's here nor there. If the Miami was seated ahead of Notre Dame, I have no problem. But Miami was seated 18, Notre Dame was seated 10. And the last game, the last week of right before Selection Sunday, Miami didn't play. Notre Dame didn't play. Miami was still behind Notre Dame, but yet they put in Miami because all of a sudden, magically, they said, "Oh, now this counts." Well, they should have been honest in the first place. Now, let's continue. Alabama. Now, my daughter loves Alabama, and I like Alabama if I'm not watching Notre Dame, I like watching Alabama. But they have 3 losses. And I don't want to hear any of these people who are just parrots repeating what they hear talking heads say. Well, they're in play the toughest schedule. First of all, I don't know about that. Because here's why. Yes, they beat Georgia one time. But the second time they played Georgia in a conference championship, how many yards did they gain? For the whole game?
I'm not sure.
-3 for the whole
-3.
game.
Okay.
-3, yeah. Embarrassed. 3 losses. Notre Dame has 2. And for the whole game, they only had -3 yards.
-3. Now, so to recap, though, so some teams played this week, Notre
championship conference, because Notre Dame is not in a conference. Now, here is the funny thing: people are like, Notre Dame should be in a conference. Notre Dame should be in a conference. But we learned Alabama's in a conference, a very strong conference, but they're in a conference, and they lost. But they even said it didn't really matter. They leapfrogged Notre Dame anyway. So what does being in a conference have to do with anything? If they just said it didn't matter how Alabama did in the conference championship, they were going to put them in, why play the game? So anyway, and then also there is a group of fairly ridiculous the University of I don't know who cares, like these kind of schools, like in the Sun Belt, they have a group of 5. So 1 or 2 of those teams will get in. And like James Madison and Tulane, are you kidding me? Like these teams couldn't beat Notre Dame if Notre Dame didn't show up. Same thing with Miami, same thing with Alabama, but yet they're in. So
no game played at all. And
I agree with you so much on deck, so much.
So they were that much, so they were higher, and then no games happened, and then they fell below.
Yes, exactly.
So then they decided, okay, we're out of the 12, so we're going. So then they denied a bowl game after that, or they didn't want.
So they were going to go play against BYU, and ESPN was going to try to pacify the SEC. Again, how does Alabama, and I love Alabama, but how the heck do they get in with 3 losses? They don't gain 1 yard against Georgia rushing. They had -3 yards. That's embarrassing. But yet somehow they're in the playoffs. That's an embarrassment. So what Notre Dame did was they said, you know what? You leapfrogged us. You did us dirty. We're just going to go home. We're going to go home. And you can keep your money. So they were guaranteed like $4 million if they played BYU. They're like, keep your money. And they're going to get negative press because no, we don't. Well, you're not in a conference because you want to keep your money. No, we're not in a conference because we don't need to be in a conference. So,
and will that not playing that game affect like their ranking and stuff? But at this point, I guess who cares because it doesn't matter.
No, I know. Yeah, it doesn't care. Nobody. Yeah. So my hope is, and I coached. I played college football. I coached college football. I love college football. But the whole bowl nonsense, it's all about the playoffs. The other, like the Fruit Cup Bowl and the, the Toy Story 6 Bowl, like nobody cares. If you're going to get drafted in the NFL, you're not going to play. So you're watching, the third stringers play. I mean, coaches leave. We should talk about what happened at Michigan. Wow. Did you hear what happened in Michigan today?
No, today I didn't hear yet. I've been on the go all day. So what happened today?
So here's what happened at Michigan. I mean, Michigan is a powerhouse, right? They have a beautiful stadium. They used to play Notre Dame every year, but the beautiful stadium, they won the championship a couple of years ago with Harbaugh. They have a 105,000 seat stadium, thereabouts. So their coach was fired, and he's preparing to play Texas, a big game, Fiesta Bowl. And people are like, why did they fire him? Turns out he had an inappropriate relationship with a staff member.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He's married, and yeah. And there's other accusations I don't want to get into on the show, but but sprinkle cookie bowl, you're not getting the toilet bowl. I mean, so anyway, he lost millions of dollars, and now Michigan is scrambling, and Michigan's still going to play, but they're going to have to get an interim coach in there. Really bad.
Yeah, because I think we get 3 bowl games here in Central Florida. I feel like there's going to be 3 of them this year. I don't watch a lot of bowl games. I will watch a little bit of the playoffs, but I think same because I was into a little bit UCF was 2-0, but of course that was against the no-name teams, and then the rest of the season started and it got out of hand and stuff. We were supposed to go to the game, got rained out, and so missed going out in it this year. But
by the way, UCF is a very good team. Don't just go in there thinking you're gonna get a win, because they try. They have it tough to recruit because people are going to go to Florida State. Though I like UCF better than Florida State anyway, but that's different.
It did say, because I was checking to see, they actually declined a bowl bid this year. It said because due to player unavailability and transfer portal activity, and they wanted to regroup. So yeah.
No, because that makes sense, because you have to declare for the transfer portal, because nowadays, listen, college athletes, good ones, are paid, and they no longer have to keep a commitment to a university. And I don't blame them, because coaches don't stay. Coaches move.
Yeah.
You heard about Mississippi State. They had their first great year in forever, and their head coach, Lane Kiffin, leaves and goes to LSU. So, I'm never going to get angry at their players for doing the same thing. Never.
Yeah. And it says, and Eileen mentions that the Falcons just scored a touchdown. So I think
38 seconds left.
48. Is that 14-10 now, or
14-7, I believe.
Yeah. I remember the beginning of the season. I think the Bucs were 5-1 or 6-1, and then the wheels started falling off. And I know they're still in first place, still have the 4th seed, but they are a loss and a win away from falling down to 9 or 10. Things are starting to, and I know they don't have that receiver core and all that kind of stuff at full strength, but it wasn't an issue early on. But yeah, Burger Man's Bucs are falling apart. Yep. They have to have this win today. There's, I think, because they're a half game up, I think if they lose this game, they actually fall to the 9th seed. And the Panthers would be a half a game up. So it's important. Are you a Thursday night guy? Like, is there such a thing as too much? Like, okay, we like Sunday, we love Sunday football, we love Monday night. Are you still comfortable with the 3 nights, or is it too much? Is that the perfect number?
I think for me, look, we do our podcast, we do it well, and I said it with no hubris. Would I be watching this? I'd probably have it on, but yeah, it's too much. I love this. See, you know me, I love tradition without being the old person, right? But I love tradition. I love Sunday night now, and then Monday night. It's enough. that's enough. And bowl season, you're going to get. I really feel they do Thursday night for betting because, which I think is really going to hurt sports really well. And
yeah, I think I'm for the only way I'm for Thursday, like that's one thing that Major League Baseball does horrible is I get it. They look at their schedule and they go, okay, how many times can we get the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox on national TV? Forget about these other guys. And so
right.
If the Thursday night football what it should be is every team gets that one game on prime time on a Thursday night for the exposure, not 6 games for the Eagles. Because, it does seem like the Eagles get all this and the Chiefs get this and Chiefs get that. And that's another team, the Eagles, 3 losses, all of a sudden, 3 losses in a row for the Eagles. And they're just lucky to be in the division.
Nobody's running away with that division. The Cowboys are still there.
Yeah, because they have the Giants and Commanders already eliminated. So Eagles don't have to do too much, but the Cowboys are right there. So like you said. So
and by the way, tip drill. You're the head coach of the Giants. You right now have the number 1 draft pick. Do you even try the rest of the season? 4 games left.
I think you have a responsibility to try. I think you can, but you're eliminated. So, I think you're at the point where it's the last quarter now. So you could, even though it's a farce, like you could say, you know what, like we've got to make some decisions. We can't be the same team next year. We got to decide which of these guys that are not playing are going to be on this team, which are not. So you can kind of spin it that way since there's only 4 games left. But I think it's still a little too early to completely tank it. And I don't know what tanking it really looks like. Does that mean running the ball on 3rd and 10, or what is tanking at this point? But
so I think what happens subconsciously, we always want to win, right? You just want to win. Now with the Giants, they have an interim coach, so he's coaching for a job. So I don't think he's going to tank unless GM tells him to. And I think you got some players, like if you're a superstar and you have an injury, like, you're playing through pain, you probably want to throttle back, right? You probably want to throttle back. So, and I forget, I was very close for a while. He's such a good man with a gentleman who played for the Jets. And he made it very clear, I think it was 4 years. Let's just say that could be 5, that there were players on his team who the last game of the season or the season before that, they were in the league 3 years or into their 4th year, that they took it easy. Why? Because they want to get a pension for the rest of their life. And they didn't want to get injured and then get cut from the team the following year. But you also then have as many people who are borderline players, and they can't take a week off. If you're a borderline player, Mike Redmond and Darren Redmond are with a backup punter. Like I'm just on special teams. I'm on the team, but I can't afford to take it off and hope that you get a high draft pick for somebody to replace me, right? So you get all of that stuff. It's very interesting.
It is. Speaking of speaking of interesting, I'll transition here. We're kind of going around the horn in terms of these the sports. So we've talked a little bit in episodes past about in terms of the Florida Panthers and NHL and everything like that. Quietly, because we know the points are a big determinant factor in which teams make the playoffs and whatnot. And the Panthers have won 3 in a row. But when you look at the Eastern Conference points, because it's 8 teams in each conference, correct, that make the playoffs? Yeah. So right now, I believe they're sitting there at 11th place in total points. So surprisingly, they're 15-12 because the OTL category, that's overtime loss Okay. So that doesn't affect them as is that is an overtime loss better than a regular loss in terms of not giving up?
Oh, no, it's much better because what happens is you get 2 points for a win, and if you tie, you automatically get 1 point, and then you play in overtime to see who gets that second point. So if you got an overtime loss, you also got 1 point. If you get a regular loss, you got no points. So
Okay.
makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why you have. So you won't. It's technically not a loss. It's an OTL, but you get at least 1 point, which is important. Because there are so many people who miss the playoffs by literally 1 point.
And 2. So you said 2 points for the win, or
you get 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie.
Okay, got it. So now the 1 point for the tie.
By the way, it is 14-10.
Yes, and so 1 point for the tie, meaning that you get to the overtime because it's not the regular game does not end in a tie. It goes to
the regular game ends in a tie, right? Both teams get 1 point. Now they're playing an overtime and maybe a shootout to see who gets that second point. So it doesn't go down for you as a loss because you got a tie, but now you're playing extra time just to see who got the point.
Okay, I gotcha. Now on this other side, so definitely seems like the Eastern Conference is all on it. I mean, almost every single team's got the same amount of points as the Panthers and maybe just a couple other. In the Western Conference, there's a lot of teams not as competitive, but you have the Colorado Avalanche sitting there at 21-2 right now.
Yep.
With 7 overtime losses. Yeah. So now I say that 21 wins, 2 losses, 7 overtime losses. So, they've still lost 9 games.
Right.
It's
just 7 of those 9. They got at least a point. That's a great way to look at it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where, so they're crushing it right now. Dallas Stars are crushing it right now. And no team is terrible. Like every team's got at least 11, 12 wins. So definitely I'm hoping after this Christmas rush of all this stuff, I really do want to watch some more. I watched like the first 3 or 4 days of the season. I watched pretty intently, and then there's just so much going on. There's literally no time, but I'm hoping too, because I really did enjoy it. And just to see a few more teams play is the goal here. But so I want to ask you, I'm going to pull this site up. This is how I thought it'd be fun to end tonight's podcast this way.
I love how you do all this stuff. It's great.
Thank you. So with the free agency kind of coming back to Major League Baseball in terms of free agency, there's a lot of big names, of course, still out there and all that jazz. So I want to pull this up and just ask you off the cuff where you think some of these guys are going, just based on not on talking heads, not on articles, just your gut,
While you pull that up, by the way, this tunnel that we're going through reminds me of Stranger Things Season 2, which I'm in the middle of right now.
What'd you say? Oh,
this tunnel reminds me of Season 2 Stranger Things, which is I'm in the middle of right now, Season 2.
Season 2 middle. Okay, we just finished the first half of Season 5, so we're caught up. So, who's your favorite character so far? Just gotta. So many good ones.
I would say probably 11.
Yeah, they definitely in Season 5. She's probably the most. Or well, maybe not. There's actually 2 others. That's like you kind of have to hide them a little bit based on that they're so much older than the season before.
Right. Well, you see, I can't. Thank you, Eileen. I can't ask about the one who plays Nancy or Sadie Sink. I don't know if they're still in the show, but and the boys are really good. It's a very good show.
So it's exceeding your. I mean, not exceeding your expectations.
It actually is hitting them. It's hitting them because, like you said, it was really good, and
yeah,
you're right. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a once in a couple year hit. Like most shows don't hit like that, and it's just so good. And I'm really interested to see because I think The second half comes out on Christmas Day, and then the finale is going to be in theaters on New Year's Day. So that's kind of cool. I think I'm trying to make a special effort to go see it in theaters.
Oh yeah, got
sure.
you.
So,
You and I done that before with other series.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I miss Walking Dead. Because I think it was 3 or 4 seasons worth I saw in theaters, and then somebody spilled the beans. Oh, that theater showing the thing, and it's not like they weren't selling tickets or anything. It was free to watch. It wasn't like they were, so that was unfortunate when that came to an end, because that was a lot of fun. But so yeah, just gonna read through a couple players here. Your thoughts on Kyle Tucker, where he's gonna wind up 29 years old, so probably gonna still get a really good lengthy contract. So where do you see him landing?
Dodgers.
You really? Okay. So based on, because the position that they need and stuff, so you really think that's okay.
He play left field, right?
Yep. So I think MLB.com thinks he's going to go to the Yankees. I don't know about that, but I mean, why would you not want to go to the Dodgers at this point?
Right.
What about way off the radar in terms of everybody else, but 37 years old now, but where do you see Sterling Marte winding up? Do you see him getting a contract this year?
Mets.
You still think he's going back? Okay. 37 for him.
Hometown discount. You know what I mean? The fans love him. He's in every one of those little snapshots at the dugout. He's just a good Met.
Yeah. Okay. So then what about another lower radar guy? What about a Pete Fairbanks? I think he's a guy that's still only 31 years old, was a legit closer for a very good team for several years. So I feel like that's a guy could definitely fit into a lot of places. Any thoughts on where might be a good fit for him? The Giants. Yeah, I can see that. I think that's a good market for him. I think he'd get eaten up. I know he's pitched against certain New York teams, but I think if he went to Mets or Yankees, he'd get eaten up there, personally.
So, I have an off-the-radar question, if I may. Serious question. So, Stottlemyre with the Yankees just signed with the Athletics. It's just weird when anybody goes to the Athletics, right? And I was trying to think about that. And I was like, maybe because who wants to pressure? Your dad was a legend pitcher for the Yankees. I'm going to go to Vegas, much smaller market, Sacramento for another year at least. I just found it weird to leave the Yankees and sign with the Athletics.
The Athletics, yeah. Not something you see too often. That's the case of a guy who's wanting to go somewhere and be a star versus.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Well, let me ask you this, Mike. What would you do? If the money was equal, you know what I'm saying? Money's somewhat equal. Forget about taxes in general. Would you rather?
I think if it was still in Oakland, I think I would consider Oakland more. But I feel like even though it worked for the Rays and it's an unfortunate situation or whatever, I feel like I'd want a team that has a city on their shirt, on the front of their shirt. So I would stick with where I'm at in this case. But again, if Oakland was the thing and that's quote unquote Sacramento, then it would be a different story. But
so speaking of Tampa, what's going on there? They're going to be able to play at the Dome, or they're going to be at
so they will be ready for opening day. They actually made 2 moves. Obviously they're not going to make splash moves like big names, but they signed a Steven Matz and they signed Cedric Mullins. I think Cedric Mullins to the Rays makes so much sense.
So basically, they just got old Mets.
Old Mets, yeah. That's basically. But for the Rays, those are smarter moves. Like Mullins to the Rays, small market, makes more sense than it never really did. Never was a fit with the Mets there. So
nope. He's a Baltimore guy, Tampa guy, and even Mats, right? Maybe like he always kind of underperformed. You guys are pitching gurus down there. Hopefully, you can straighten him out.
Yeah, for sure. Now, of course, probably the best free agent left is Cody Bellinger. So, center fielder, does seem silly. Like the Mets need a center fielder, and he's just been sitting there. But your thoughts on him?
I think the Mets will overpay do exactly what they said they didn't want to do with Pete Alonso or Edwin Diaz to get him. But I think Cody Bellinger will use him as his leverage and then re-sign with the Yankees.
Okay, so let me ask you this: instead of going through the rest of the list, who is the left fielder and your center fielder opening day for the New York Mets?
You don't want me to say.
Are you going to say Jeff McNeil in left field? Is that your Tyrone Taylor in center? Is that what you're?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Well, and it's funny looking at this list of available people, because if they have this master plan and they're looking at the same list as I'm at,
there's really nobody out there.
Now, let me know. This is going to be tough, so you can take a minute. Here are the list of names in order that I'm looking at for available left fielders: Jesse Winker, Michael Conforto, Mark Canha, Tommy Pham.
All Mets. They're all Mets.
They're all Mets.
They're all Mets.
Yep. So
I'd pick Canha out of all those.
You'd what?
I'd pick Canha out of all those. If I had to take one of those,
yeah.
It's so terrible. They're all Mets.
So it's like, and then I'm looking at center field.
Winkler, I guess, right? Because he's already with us. But he played he was hurt the whole year.
Yeah. So literally, looking at these outfielders that are available, there's nobody really outside of Bellinger. So unfortunately, you're right. They're probably gonna have to pay for him. Do you he's a little bit older, but do you see a chance that Marcell Ozuna comes in as a DH or anything like that? Or
you need that.
Yeah.
Because right now the Mets have no.
Yeah, I think Framber Valdez. I would like to see that. I think that would make sense. There's still Justin Verlander at 43 years old is still a free.
No, it didn't work the first time.
No. I would love. I know it's not an attractive name, but I want Griffin Canning back. I know he coming off that injury. He was a great piece. So
I thought it was very good.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yep.
But this is what irks me to no end. We have a plan. Well, you got the little rascals left. I mean, what are you doing? There's nobody there.
Yep. Now I want to find this. This is the official Mets projected opening lineup as of right now. Let's see here. Where'd you go? Because this is good stuff. Okay. Very exciting. So the Mets official opening day lineup as of right now: Lindor, Simeon, Soto, Vientos, McNeil, Alvarez, Beatty, Mauricio, Taylor.
Where's Mauricio playing?
DH.
That guy, he swings like a rusty gate. He's terrible.
Yeah.
Why is he on the team?
He's not. He's one guy I think I'm fine parting with. I don't know.
He'll occasionally hit a home run by accident, but if you are for some reason forced to throw him a fastball, you throw him any sort of ball of any movement, curveball, slider, backdoor slider, he can't hit it. It's just like, and he goes and sulks.
Now, here's something interesting to me. This is and I agree. It's not a pretty swing, and I don't know why somebody would want that. But if you are going to trade for a ace pitcher, because I feel like the Mets almost have to make a trade at this point, you're going to have to let pieces like that go. But starting rotation, the projected right now is McLean, Peterson, Holmes, Minaya, and Senga. The problem with that is no. Because obviously, I'm not saying it's going to fix things, but if you move Holmes to the bullpen right now and you pick up Framber Valdez and then you let guys why not let Sprout and Tong get the reps in there? What's the point of not are you really going to get stuff out of Sean Manaea at this point? And I don't like that 1 through 5. I'm fine with them giving Peterson another year, and because yes, he tapered off a little bit, but the guy was a saving grace for 4 months on the team. But again, is it just going to be the wheels are going to fall off in August again with these arms? And it's
Yes.
that's what this rotation screams at me. It's like, okay, maybe it's good for 2 months, but it doesn't scream full season. And maybe they're looking at it like we don't want to put the amount of innings on, because if we start with Tong and Sprout from the beginning, then they're going to be tired out.
Amount of innings.
Yeah.
Amount of innings. They go 5 innings on this team, and they still got tuck it out. 5 innings. Are you kidding me?
So what would your rotation be, including any free agents that we trade or pick up? What would your rate as we close this out? What would be your rotation?
I really defer to you because I really have not researched that as much as I should because I've been disgusted. But I tell you one thing, I don't want Senga. I don't want him anywhere. With what was the mysterious fork ball? What was he throw? But he's always heard he doesn't want to compete.
Mm-hmm. I think that. Well, for whatever, because he was so good before the injury. And
the ghost pitch. That was it, right? The ghost ball, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the ghost ball. So for me, I would move Holmes to the bullpen, which they clearly looking at this list of bullpen. He's not in their plans for that. But Holmes to the bullpen, you move Senga, and you have to part ways with Minaya. And I would go Framber Valdez 1. Don't put Nolan McLean as your ace. He is going to be the ace, but that's a big ask for a second-year guy who only pitched 5 or 6 weeks. So I would go Valdez 1, McLean 2, Peterson 3. I would go what do you call it? I go Tong 4, Sprout 5. And if you do want this to go with 6 to kind of reduce the workload, then out of those pieces, I'll say keep Holmes then as your 6 or as your 5.
Right.
You go with those 6 people. I would rather get rid of Senga and Minaya and keep Holmes. Even though Holmes tapers off the 3rd time around, he's usually pretty decent the first 2 times through the lineup. So I would go with that.
Do you know why he tapers off the 3rd time around? I'm being serious. Do you know why?
Because he's a relief pitcher.
Because he's a relief pitcher.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So,
and by the way, Tong, he looks like he doesn't even have the driver's permit. I mean, the guy.
Yes, right. And if you're gonna push the lemons in the innings limit or whatever, then why not? If you're gonna go with 6-man rotation, why not throw them in there and see what happens?
Yeah,
so
agreed.
And I see this Love Lady in the bullpen again. I don't even want to discuss that, but is what it is. No. So, but as we, I know, Aileen mentioned about Pete. I know I got so many Pete shirts sitting there not getting used. But so as we close this thing out, of course, we are going to be live on Sunday. Episode 128 coming up on Sunday evening. And beyond that, I wanted to ask you, Darren, now we'll let everyone else know, but do we plan on streaming a week from tonight on that Thursday, or because you'll be coming in Friday? I wasn't sure.
I got to talk to you about that. I forget what time my flight is.
Just show up whenever. We'll find you.
Yeah.
We'll get you all that info and stuff. And Eileen, she'll be able to get you that day right when you get off. So that'll be cool.
Eileen, I'll buy us lunch.
Yes. And what do you call it? So guys, thank you so much. I know NFL football is on. It was short notice tonight, but we'll always be here. Super shout out that we had over 150 new subscribers since the parade last week. So we're sitting there at 3,528 subscribers. Super, super cool. That means that 3,600 is right around the corner. But next Saturday, I'm telling you, I'm speaking into existence, the 20th, we are going, I'm throwing it out there. There's a legit chance that for at least that day, I can't control what people do after they leave the park, but for that day, with the amount of people coming, there's a legit chance that we can legit double our subscribers in one day. That could happen.
I love that.
So make sure you're there December the 20th. We've got 4 people in the rotation to be dunked. Maybe we'll find a 5th. Make sure you're there next Saturday, the 20th. Until next time, guys, we will see you around the ballpark.